My next video, I just realised that in the previous video I did, I cut out my eyes, so apologies for that. I just sometimes just dive into video making and I don't always check for things like that because I'm just so eager to get on with the video, so I do apologise for that, bear with me. I hope it doesn't affect, as long as you can hear what I'm saying, that's probably the main thing anyway, and I know also a lot of autistics don't like making eye contact, so maybe it's not a bad thing anyway if you can't see my eyes. But yeah, apologies if you can't see my eyes again. I'm just talking about the National Autistic Society conference and bringing up some of the points made. Just so that those of you, obviously, who haven't been to the conference can get some idea of what was talked about, because these conferences you do unfortunately have to pay to attend, and I only could attend because I was paid to attend by my autistic self-advocacy group, who basically funded me to attend, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to go. Because these are quite elitist and exclusive events. They should really, I feel, be open to the public, but you know, we're not in that world. So the next talk that was done was by an autistic academic called Dr. Hannah Belcher, and she, by the way, she's actually written a book that's going to be released later on this year, I think in September, about autistic masking, which I would like to read. It's probably quite expensive though, as these books usually are, but I would like to read it when it comes out. Probably get it from the library. I can't use the library at the moment, but you probably can get it from the library. So she's an autistic academic, and her special interest or area of expertise is masking, autistic masking. So her talk was all about autistic masking, and she talked about different types of masking. For example, the first type of autistic masking is hiding autistic traits to appear normal in inverted commas. For example, suppressing stims, self-stimulatory behaviour in public, so not like flapping your hands or not like jumping up and down and all those things you might do to regulate yourself, but like trying not to do that in public in case you get unwanted attention. Forcing eye contact, even though that might be unnatural and painful. Monitoring voice intonation, trying to appear all, constantly trying to think, how am I talking, and things like that. Hiding your special interests, maybe not talking about them so much or not bringing them up. All these things where you try and sort of blend in. Or number two, you could also compensate for autistic traits. And this goes a bit deeper than, say, hiding autistic traits. Compensating autistic traits could be mimicking other people more explicitly. Learning social rules, rehearsing social situations. Some autistic people even have scripts. I used to do that when I was a teenager. I used to script what I was going to say, like conversations. I don't do that anymore, just in an explicit way, but that's one way that autistics might, try and, I do sometimes script, actually, thinking of it. It depends on the context. I do actually sometimes still use scripts for some social encounters, actually. Scripts, I do sometimes still do that, but not as much as I used to. The third one is wanting to fit in with others, where you might put an effort into being around others, or you might feel the need to perform. She says that these strategies can be automatic and unconscious. She also talked about the depth of masking. So there are different degrees of masking. There's shallow masking, for example, learning to always laugh when someone tells a joke. So you might not understand the joke, you might not get why it's funny, but you see that other people are laughing, and in order to fit in, you laugh too. It's all very fake. I do that all the time, by the way, and it feels fake. It's really uncomfortable. But like, everyone else laughing. If you don't laugh, people are going to notice. So you just laugh. You don't understand why you're laughing. It's very mechanical. It's shallow masking. But it means that you sort of blend in, at least superficially. But you don't really understand why you're laughing. And there's also deep masking, and that would be where you study the meanings behind the jokes and understanding why they are funny. So then you really go out of your way to understand why these jokes are funny. So then your laugh then might be actually not so mechanical because you actually worked out why it's funny, but unlike non-autistic people who just instinctively know why it's funny because of the group kind of dynamics and things like that, you've had to actually go out of your way to find out why it's funny. And some autistics actually do become comedians. I actually know an autistic comedian who attends one of the groups I go to. He's a lovely person and very, very funny. Just naturally funny, actually. But it is actually quite common actually for autistics to become comedians. And that might be, again, because of this kind of desire to learn it, masking, real desire to kind of learn why things are funny, and things like that. And also, these different types of masking, shallow and deep, can both be done at different times. She also talks about masking in different situations, for example, formal situations, so you might mask at work and at school, interpersonal situations, for example, you might mask in relationships to make friends and fitting in. Some only mask formally or interpersonally, others mask in both situations. I'm not in work, so I don't spend a lot of my time masking, and I can be, I guess, more authentically myself most of the time. Currently, obviously, because of the COVID situation, I'm basically not masking at all pretty much ever. I guess the only time I might mask a little bit is maybe when I attend some of the groups I go to, where, yeah, I might mask a little bit. But some people say that when you're around other autistics that you don't need to mask at all, but I disagree with that. I feel I still need to mask when I'm at autism groups. Doesn't mean I need to stop masking. So I disagree with that idea that masking is only done when you're around non-autistics. But I've never been that effective at masking. I can do it to some extent, but I've never been that effective at masking, at least not effective enough to to allow me to integrate into society. It always does break down eventually, and I can only do it for very short periods of time before it does start to kind of break up. I've got into trouble so many times by talking too much about my interests, like at voluntary work and overstepping boundaries. I do it all the time, but I just can't mask for that length of time. It's impossible for me, which is probably part of the reason why, I struggle. But obviously it depends. Some autistics just are better at masking than others. But interestingly, even autistics who mask and are very effective at masking, according to Belcher's research, still are often not accepted or tolerated very well by non-autistics. It's almost like non-autistics can still pick up. Even an autistic who blends in, and you might not appear autistic in inverted commas to your non-autistic person, your non-autistic person might not identify them as autistic and still think they're like in quote-unquote normal, but at the same time they're still picking up something subconsciously where the person isn't quite there socially, but the other person can't quite put their finger on it, and this kind of maybe there's a slight processing lag, because even if you're